Hello and welcome to the KLBC Christmas Livestream event. This is new to us all, and we thank you for taking the time to come together with us this evening. Honestly, we wish that this room was filled with people, that we would have just finished this incredible meal together, and but that's not what we can do this evening. So we hope that as you gather with your family, with those in your household this evening, that you grab yourself a hot drink, maybe a bowl of ice cream, and enjoy the evening with us. We want to let you know of a couple things that are coming up pretty quickly here. First thing, we got a trivia game that's coming up through Kahoot. Kahoot is a website, and so that's where we're going to be running our trivia game through. To join in on the trivia, what you'll be doing is go to kahoot.it, and when you get to that site, you can enter in this PIN, 403-4461, and we'll put that up on the screen here shortly for you.
Secondly, we want this evening to be interactive with you in the comments section and all that. So go ahead and comment throughout the evening when you were at KLBC, kind of what your experience with camp is, maybe a favorite memory or a funny story. And at the end of the evening, we'll draw a couple names of those who have commented either on YouTube or Facebook. And you can win 60th anniversary hoodies when we get those next summer. So be sure to be active, and we want this to be a community event, even if we are all in our own homes. So we'll announce the winners for those at the end of the night.
Also tonight is a fundraiser, and so we would love for you to be able to make a donation to a gift to camp here at the end of the year. If you're interested in doing so, we're going to throw a slide up there shortly with this information. But to do so, you can e-transfer to KLBC office at kenosee.ca. You can always mail a check to Box 217, Kenosee Lake, Saskatchewan, S0C2S0. Or if you'd like to make a credit card donation, you can do so through our website, which is KenoseeLakeBibleCamp.ca/support-us. And from that link, there'll be a link to the One Hope page in which you can make your donation and just mark it designated to Kenosee Lake Bible Camp. If you could do that, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
So while you log into Kahoot on your tablet or cell phone or whatever other device you have, we have this introduction video from a few 60th anniversary testimonies that we shot last year. So enjoy this introduction.
When did you attend KLBC, and in what capacities?
Yeah, so KLBC was part of my life since I was a toddler. Started going as a camper in the 80s, started junior counseling and then senior counseling, and most recently have come back and have been speaking for kids camp some, so that's been super fun.
When I was 7 years old is when I went to camp for like the first time. I eventually just kept wanting to come back until I was too old to go to camp anymore. So I was like, well, that sucks, so I'm just gonna I'll go as a cabin leader then, you know?
And you're still cabin leading for us now.
Yeah.
So basically from 81 to 91, I was at KLBC, and I was in a few different roles. I got to be there as a camper, both as like a preteen camper when I was 8. I was also there as a camper through my teenage years, which was really significant for me. I started counseling when I was like 13. How crazy is that? At 13, I began counseling at KLBC. And then I actually, in the 90s, I got to come back as a speaker, which was, again, an incredible privilege.
Can you remember a funny moment or experience you had while at KLBC?
I don't endorse this for any future program directors, but Rob, I'm throwing you under the bus. So it was raining, we had to have some sort of activity inside, and Rob Hildebrand, he thought that it would be this wonderful idea to put plastic down across the dining hall and douse it with oil, like kitchen oil, to make an indoor slip and slide. But the repercussions weren't so great. I think it peeled paint off the floor, it made the floor super slippery, and it was kind of a mess for a little while and very difficult to clean up. But we'll never forget it, so yay for memories.
We would just have fun and make up fun pranks to do on the other cabins. And an example was we went out to one of the cabins while the boys were gone. We took out one of the cabin leaders' beds and we wrapped it in toilet paper and put it outside And that was like a really fun bonding moment with us and the boys, and it was just a great look on the cabin leader's face when he came back.
Okay, so this moment is so clear in my mind. I remember when I was about 13, and I was far too young to be cabin leading or even assistant cabin leading, but I was in. But I was having a great time. I'd met my friend Carlin Looser, and we became best buddies immediately, and I think we were a little bit more focused on the fun we were having together than on our students. And sometimes the things that we found to be really fun were not necessarily super fun for everyone else. Like Lincoln Velicott, who was like our director. And we thought Lincoln was pretty great, but we also thought it was kind of great when we played some tricks on Lincoln and such things. Somehow we got our hands on some water balloons. And I just remember that Lincoln was walking across the field and he didn't see him coming, and we launched some balloons at Lincoln, hit him right in the head, like completely sloshed him. Didn't see it coming, and I remember his eyes just flared up, and he looked at Carlin and I, took about 3 steps, and then he stopped, turned around, and walked away. And of course, you know, at that stage in my life, I didn't realize that what he was doing was protecting himself from possibly being put in jail. If we're really honest, maybe from being put in jail. He went and collected his thoughts, and then he came back and appropriately disciplined us for what we had done. And I think I'm thankful for his grace and his discipline, because both of those things shaped me in a really positive way. So I remember that moment so clearly.
I'm sure we've all had those moments, eh? When you think back to your different times at, whether that was at Kenosee Lake Bible Camp or whatever camp it was that you were able to attend as either as a camper or cabin leaders or whatever positions. We've all had those moments where you think back to these great memories. The neat thing with these interviews is we've got more of that coming on later this evening. They're going to be sharing some more moments of just how God used Kenosee Lake Bible Camp to touch their lives. But right now, we're about to launch into our game of trivia with Kahoot. And so how this is going to work, we're going to ask a question as it comes up. Points are based on correct answers and then secondly on speed. So you want to make sure you get the right answer and then get that answer in as quick as possible. After each question, standings are going to appear on your screen, so you're going to be able to see where you're ranked in there. And these questions are going to be based on KLBC present, KLBC past, and because it's Christmas, we got to throw some Christmas questions in as well. So we're going to be having a few more people join in, and once we're ready to go, we're going to get the game started.
So I'm just hoping that our delay doesn't throw this whole game off. If there is such a thing, it's gonna mess all that up, hey?
First question is, how much did a week of squirt camp cost in 1975? I can assure you, not the same as it costs today. A little bit different there, so we're going to wait as people are throwing in their answers. Hopefully this is working for them. If not, we're going to have some fun at-home trivia for you to compete with those of you on your own couches.
Yeah, the delay is going to throw off because there was definitely more than 2 people in this room. So we apologize for that. But we'll just kind of press on here, and you can sort of play along as you're able, and we'll maybe throw up a challenge afterwards that you can participate in.
Congratulations to Captain Panther that has quick enough internet to...
How many different places did we run camps during 2020? We took camps out on the road, and so it wasn't just at Kenosee that we ran camps this year. There were a few different locations, but how many of them were there? 7?
Estevan Alliance was one of them. So when you're looking at that picture, you can see
that's
at least one.
At least, so there's at least 2, and your lowest option is 7. So clearly it's going to be there. Oh, there was more answers that time, so that's good.
Oh, perfect.
Maybe we're catching up, or people are catching on. We will just award a winner here eventually. I really wish that I knew who the people were, but with live streaming, you never know what people are going to throw in as their names. So you'll have to comment afterwards if you are.
Question number 3 here. What 2 camps joined to form KLBC? This is for you history buffs out there. Was it Griffin Bible Camp, Merrifield Bible Camp, Weyburn Bible Camp, Merrifield Bible Camp, Griffin Bible Camp, Camp Kipling, or Ken Bible Camp, OC Bible Camp?
It's probably that last one.
I would think it's that last one. That's why the 2 formed to become one.
Yeah, it was a natural fit to do it at Kenosee as well. They were both in very different places.
Hey, we're getting more numbers, it looks like.
Yeah.
We're getting a few more answers. That's good. People are jumping in, answering. That's great. Great to see.
As the one who made up the false answers, it kind of brings me a little satisfaction when some people pick the wrong thing. Like, it's compelling enough of a mistruth there. I don't get to lie very often in my job, so it's nice to be able to do that every now and then.
Do we need to dock Captain Panther a few points here?
What did Frosty the Snowman do when his magic hat was placed upon his head? Began to dance and shout, began to sing and shout, began to dance around, or began to jump around?
I definitely got this one wrong when we were doing the Christmas trivia around my kitchen table earlier this week. And so for those of you that get it wrong, I'm with you.
I did not get it wrong. So for those of you who get it right, congratulations, you're with me. There we go. Got lots of people in here now. Yeah, next question.
Oh, this is great. Our delay isn't delaying this game, which is great.
Good.
No one has caught. Oh, Wise Ant is catching Captain
up.
Panther. This is great. This is great
It
to
is
see.
speed-based, so the faster you answer correctly, the more points you get. So even if you get more questions wrong, you can still catch up to somebody ahead of you.
Moving on, question 5. How many gifts in total were given in the 12 days of Christmas?
Quick math. I think this is logarithmic functions, if I remember correctly.
Ooh, look at you throwing out the math terms.
Now, that could be wrong, and
I'm
I definitely
impressed.
don't remember how to do them.
I believe you. I
but,
believe you. Can
yeah.
you do logarithmic patterns in 10 seconds?
Heck no. Yeah, it's way higher than you expect, eh? I thought it was 144. It's like, that's 12 times 12. That sort of makes sense. Just whatever, right? No.
But as pointed out, they gave multiple gifts all on the same days.
Yes.
We're not going to sing that song to you. We've got songs coming up later this evening. Clay and I will not be singing.
Captain Panther still remaining out front. So in 1960, camp hosted 147 campers. What was the grocery bill for that year? Now, in the picture there, you can see that's Camp Work Day back in July. I think that's a 6th, perhaps, in 1960. They're building the first cook shack, so kind of the lean-to dining hall there. The camp grocery budget has gone up significantly now. It's what, 38,000 or something most years?
Clay, how close to your grocery bill would these numbers be?
That's I don't know. I don't do budgets super great. It varies. You know,
we have a new first place person here. Way to go, brave elephant. Dethroned the Panther. Well done, well done. This is great to see people joining in, enjoying this. Question 7 here. What upgrade did 3 of our cabins receive this year? This picture is not with the upgrades. This is pre-updates. You'll see a picture later on this evening that shows some of the updates that we did make. What were those updates that we made?
The answer there. More people thought new windows than I expected. Yeah, we put decks on cabins 5, 6, and 7. So they're wonderful additions. And yeah, as Brad mentioned, you'll see pictures of those decks in just a few minutes.
And the hope is to keep building decks.
Whoa, look at all that
futures.
change.
Oh.
Rockstar Pigeon goes up 6 places. Groovy Eagle up to the front. Captain Panther's barely even on the screen anymore. So what's our next question here coming up?
Question 8.
We're getting near the end of it. Of our 54 summer missionaries back in 2019, so our last full summer, how many of them had attended the BOLD program at some point in the past? We ran BOLD for, 6 years now?
I believe so, yeah. 6, 7 years. Long enough for us to forget exactly how many years.
Yeah, it predates me. Or my time at Kenosee. I'm older than 6 years old. But it's a number here, and that number is 27. So half of our summer team 2 summers ago had participated in BOLD, which was a pretty cool thing when we realized that discipleship program has really been paying off and doing some pretty great work.
This past year, actually, both our program directors that served with us came through that program.
I think they were the first year of BOLD. They participated
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Pretty cool
the
to see.
program's changed quite a bit since then, as they often remind us. Next, second last question. Here we go.
Question number 9 here. Not much time to catch up. Which one of these phrases does not mean Merry Christmas in another language? Merry Kalikimaka, Feliz Natal, Ere me Ristmasque, or Feliz Fiestas?
Don't read too much into Brad's accents there.
As I tell the staff, I am trilingual. I can speak 3 languages. None of them well, as you will also find out this evening.
Yeah. If I remember right, that's Happy Holidays in Spanish, we did lots of Googling for this question. So we're just taking Google's word for it, essentially.
Don't blame us. Blame Google.
Yeah.
Ooh, the Groovy Eagle.
Groovy Eagle
Pretty
seems to have a
commanding lead
pretty
here.
strong
Pretty
hold on this.
commanding lead.
They got to get this one wrong for anyone to have a hope. Final question. Which Gospels tell the story of the Nativity, the Christmas story, Jesus' birth? Where do we go? This picture here, or video, is from our staff retreat, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, the first weekend in March, and there was a little bit of melting, and so that went on. But that's really not relevant to the question at all. Which Bible books, which tell the story?
The video is more or less to distract people.
Pretty much, yeah.
So hopefully you could also enjoy the video because you got your answer in quick enough. But Matthew and Luke would have been the correct answer.
Yeah. Brad also got that one wrong as we were practicing beforehand. So don't feel too bad. He's in full-time ministry and he still got it wrong. So.
Here we go. Third place goes to Mystery Bex.
Ibex.
Second to Biex. Ibex. I
yeah.
missed the I. Brave
Groovy
Elephant,
Eagle.
second place. Groovy Eagle, congratulations. So if you are Groovy Eagle, please text into the Facebook message. Let us know who you are, and we'll be sure to give you a prize there.
Yeah. Where's the... All right. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Oh no, that challenge is over, so never mind. So this evening, as we launch into the more formal part of the program, now that hopefully everybody's joined us online, I want to share with you some stories from camp this past year and kind of look forward to 2021. And when I think of the challenges of 2020, and there were many, there's one kind of particular moment that sticks out in my mind. And it was late spring, early summer. I don't remember exactly when. Time kind of lost all meaning at some point this year, as many of you probably experienced for yourselves. But I walked into the dining hall the one afternoon to grab something, and all the tables were pushed up against the wall. All the benches were still stacked in the corner from the fall before. The lights were all off, and I just realized in that moment that the dining hall was empty, and it was going to stay empty. That instead of being filled with hundreds of screaming children, like it normally would 4 times a day throughout summer, it would sit empty. The fellowship that would happen in the kitchen amongst the ladies and men working there, that wasn't going to be the reality. And for lack of a better term, it just, all of this hit me, and I found myself grieving camp and grieving the loss of 6 months of planning and all this anticipation. And it was going to be our 60th anniversary, and we had these grand plans and ideas and these things I wanted to hold on to that we just couldn't. We hadn't been able to run our spring banquets, and so there were financial challenges, and half the camp budget comes from camper fees, and those weren't going to be in place. And so, you know, what's the financial future of camp look like? And what do we tell these people who are asking me, like, what's camp going to look like this summer? Because we just had no idea what the regulations were going to be, what was going to be possible, and yet it was our full-time job. So how do we deal with that? I looked back the other week, and I had started a spreadsheet called COVID-19 Thoughts and Plans that had 10 separate tabs of different plans and ideas and contingency options that we had, depending on what regulations ended up being. And in making those, we knew that 9 of them weren't going to be possible, right? That we could only do 1 or 2 things, right? So everything we were doing, just, it wasn't what we wanted. Zoom nights were something that I was doing weekly with our staff. We did Bible studies and games nights and things like that, and it was really good until the weather started to warm up and Zoom fatigue set in, and then attendance just plummeted. We thought maybe with no school groups in spring, we can have volunteer days and mini family camps, and it'll be a great way to get people out and do some of these projects that we have money for around camp, and just interest wasn't really there. And so everything that we tried to do just didn't work the way that we wanted, and it seemed like discouragement was around every corner. Key dates would roll around, and instead of camp filling up with people, we were the only people at camp. And I was left on the first day of registration that afternoon, I was sitting on the beach eating a bag of chips and realized I'm the only one at camp here instead of a parking lot full of excited teenagers. And so it was hard to deal with all of that. And yet then finally, the last week of July, we were able to start day camps. And so after so much planning and uncertainty and figuring out what the rules were and the health concerns and the staffing challenges, all our staff had to volunteer this year, and everything else that was running around in our heads and we were trying to figure out, day camps finally began. And so I was in Kola with our first traveling camp with a few of our summer staff there. And I was at the door greeting parents, welcoming kids, getting forms signed, checking off attendance, explaining the new rules and things like that. And most of the campers had arrived, and I was just kind of waiting for any stragglers. And I started to hear, come up from the basement, the sounds of kids laughing and yelling and having fun. And in that moment, the concerns and the worries and the rules all just melted off my mind. And I remembered, hey, yeah, these kids are still just kids. Amongst everything else that's going on in life, they still crave fun and relationship, and they want to be loved, and they need Jesus. And that was true for all 276 kids that came to our day camps this year. They were still kids, and they still needed Jesus just as badly as every other year of camp. And as I remember those things, I couldn't help but smile. Back at camp, real progress had been made on a lot of those projects that we'd been going on. We did have volunteers come out, maybe not as many as we wanted, but those who came and worked hard. And you'll see some pictures here. There's the cabin 7 before we started any work, kind of mid-process. We were putting decks, as you learned recently, and repainted the outsides of 5, 6, and 7. And there's kind of the finished product. I guess we have to do the door trim there yet. But so cabins 5, 6, and 7 look entirely different. The girls' bathroom, formerly girls' outhouse. Oh, sorry, skipped one there. Paintball field out in the new land got developed. And so we had a chance to test that out this fall, and it's a lot of fun. The girls' bathroom got completely redone, new roof put on it, gutted on the inside, and totally new. The boundary fence got built out north, and so we can actually use all of our new land without worrying about losing campers in the bushes in the middle of the night. So that's a really good addition. Our new camp bus, which you'll see pictures of later here, was professionally painted, so big thanks to Kent from Red Light Auto Body in Wawota for doing that for us. So that looks a whole lot different. Brad and I got really good at re-shingling old cabins and the shop. So I think we did 6 cabins. Other various small projects, different painting and things like that. We had lots of volunteers do lots of different things, and camp looked a whole lot better. And while all of these things happened at camp, ministry continued out on the road. One day I was wandering through one of the churches. We did kind of a morning group, an afternoon group, and an evening group. And I walked into the sanctuary and saw one of our staff just having kind of pretty clearly a God moment. And he saw me come in and called me over and just started to share with me some of the problems and struggles that he'd been facing. In the midst of COVID, there was a lot going on in his life outside of camp, and I just had the opportunity to talk and share with him and encourage him and pray for him, and it was just this really cool moment for me anyway, of discipleship and supporting and encouraging our staff that going into the summer, I didn't know if I would get to have. We didn't have the same mentoring structure or discipleship structure that we normally did, but God made space for these moments where our leaders in community were still able to grow in their faith as they served together. And so that was a real blessing to be a part of. Not all of our camps were on the road either. We had a couple weeks, the last week of July and the last week in August, that we ran right at camp. And so the first week, a girl showed up, and she didn't have a Bible of her own. When her leader found out, they were quick to grab her one and kind of show her how to use it, and she was all excited, as campers usually are when they receive a Bible of their very own. And so that was a cool moment. And then 4 weeks go by, and our second camp that we had at Kenosee, the same girl returns, and she sees the same leader that gave her the Bible and excitedly runs up to them and tells them about how every week or every day since she got it for those 4 weeks, road trips, at home, wherever, that she had been reading her Bible. It was really cool to hear how God was still at work. Even though camp looked very different this year, ministry still happened, lives were still impacted, and the gospel was still shared. Often we think of camp as this really traditional thing, like we play sticks and stones like they have for generations, it seems. And yet this year, COVID forced us to change. But it was the same God that we served in the middle of that. The same Holy Spirit at work, the same gospel we were sharing, and God was still changing lives. And so you're probably wondering, well, what about this next summer? What's camp going to look like in 2021? And I mean, partially we just don't know. But we do have some plans in place, tentative though they might be. So one of the things that we learned this past summer was the value of in-person ministry and getting to make those connections with kids, getting to love them and show them God's love, to share the gospel truth with them. And so we are prioritizing, once again, in-person ministry because that's just so valuable. So we're kind of operating under the assumption that regulations will be fairly similar this next year as what they were last year. If they do open up, then great, we'll adapt to that. We're camp people, we can adapt. And so our plans are flexible that way. But the first part is to do camp at camp. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a new camp bus, and we're excited to put that to good use. So there's our old bus on the left, and our new bus, much better looking in my opinion anyway, on the right. And so each week, for 4 weeks, 2 in July, 2 in August, we'll send that new bus out to a different community. And it'll go each day, Monday to Friday. We're going to pick kids up in the morning, bring them to camp. They'll spend the morning and afternoon at camp and then go home again on the bus in the evening. So while they're at camp, it's kind of a more typical camp experience, a little more like normal, and they get to experience being at the lake again. And yeah, just having a great program that way. The second part of our plan for next summer is to do traveling day camps once again. Last summer we did 8 of them. And we're hoping to do similar numbers again this next year. And so sending out teams of 4 or 5 staff members to a community. They spend the week in that community at the church and running day camps for the kids right there to make camp as accessible as possible for everyone. So we're looking forward to being able to do that again. A big addition to that this year will be the addition of our climbing wall. If you follow us on social media, you've probably seen our crowdfunding campaign. We had the opportunity this fall to buy a portable climbing wall, which was pretty incredible. We're excited about the options that opens up for us to get into our community, to reach new people in new ways, and to share the gospel. So while 2021 might not be the same kind of camp experience as you or I knew as kids, we're excited for the ways that God is going to continue to work and change lives, that he is going to enable us to once again show God's love, share God's truth, and build God's family. So if you want to be a part of that, there's the climbing wall there. I forgot that I had that slide. So that's them loading it up, and it is now, we're raising money to get it mounted onto the trailer so that it can be portable, to buy harnesses and things like that. So if you want to support that project, you can go to our crowdfunding campaign that you can find on social media. If you want to support camp in general, as Brad mentioned at the beginning of the night, there's several ways that you can do that listed there on the screen now. So we would be super grateful if you are willing and able to support us in whatever way that you can.
Navigating difficult times is hard at the best of times, and as Clay shared this evening, the summer was filled with those moments of kind of programming on the fly, making switches, adjusting to different things, and for us as full-time missionaries with Kenosee Lake Bible Camp, we couldn't have done what we did this year if it weren't for our board. And our board coming alongside, pulling in extra meetings, providing extra support for us as we kind of made adjustments and made changes as we went. We're so thankful. Many of you that are joining us this evening have spent time serving with us on our board. And tonight we want to say thank you to a very special gentleman. That gentleman's Terry Friesen. And Terry, we want to say thank you. For the 22 years that you spent serving with us on the Kenosee Lake Bible Camp board. Terry served with us up until the fall of 2019, and we're so grateful to both you and to Caroline for the incredible sacrifices that both of you made, making the drives to camp all year long to meet for board meetings. But along with that, the variety of roles that you carried during those 22 years, not only just being a board member, but also sitting on different committees and holding different positions with the board as well, but then also the number of hours that both of you have spent volunteering at camp. We're so thankful, so grateful to the sacrifice that you made, and so we just want to give our little gratitude here. We've got an extra little token of our thanks here. We have this clock made up for you, and so I'll be swinging by sometime in the next couple weeks to drop it off. And we just hope that it's this great reminder for you, for your family, of the gratitude that we have as a camp for the years of service that you've given. And we look forward to continuing to serve with both of you in the coming years here. So we just want to say thank you. We're going to stop talking now for a while, and we're going to enjoy some music. We have Brendan and Christy with us this evening, and Brendan and Christy are still in their first year of marriage, and so the joy of that is that we just can't keep them apart. So they're masked up. They're going to stand nice and close, as newlyweds often do, and hopefully you can enjoy some Christmas music here this evening.
We're excited you guys could join us. If you guys know these songs, sing along with us. There'll be some new ones and some old ones as well.
Sing we the song of Emmanuel, this the Christ who was long foretold, low in the shadows of Bethlehem. Promise of dawn now our eyes behold. God most high in a manger laid. Lift your voices and now proclaim, great and glorious love has come to us. Join now with the hosts of heaven. Come we to welcome Emmanuel, King who came with no crown or throne. Helpless he lay, the invincible Maker of Mary, now Mary's Son. Oh, what wisdom to save us all! Shepherds, sages before him fall. Grace and majesty, what humility! Come on, bended knee, adore him. Go spread the news of Emmanuel, joy and peace for the weary heart. Lift up your heads, for your King has come. Sing, for the light overwhelms the dark. Glory shining for all to see. Hope alive, let the gospel ring. God has made a way, he will have the praise. Tell the world his name is Jesus. Tell the world his name is Jesus. Tell the world his name is Jesus. Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt he break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise we, let all within us praise his holy name. Fall on your knees. Come hear the angel voices. O night divine, O night when Christ was born. O night divine, O night, O night divine. The first Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was
how did the ministry at KLBC impact your life?
When I went there as a camper, it was a huge impact on me because there was so many opportunities we had to learn about God. Like we did chapel twice a day, we had Bible verses to memorize, and we did cabin devotions. It was just really, really impactful to hear what God had to say through those chapel meetings and just the amazing speakers I remember we had. And it was just really, amazing just to see God's work in that.
So if I look back in my childhood and in my life, I look at camp as everything for what I needed to grow and to mature in my faith. And I just remember always throughout the year writing letters back and forth with friends I made at camp, and it would just get you through the year so that you could get back to camp again. It was just a highlight every year. And the faith growth that I had in that was, I don't even know how to put a value on that. I think back to a lot of truths that I have, and I can remember hearing that at that time, or this truth, and I remember hearing that at that time, and a lot of those moments happened at KLBC, so I'm really thankful for that.
But I remember really, really clearly, 13 years old. It was raining outside, so we couldn't do our outdoor campfire that night. We did it kind of a fake campfire inside.
And then we sat in the dining hall because it was raining outside, and there was this old dude who began talking about giving our lives completely to Jesus Christ and what it would look like if we took on a brand new identity.
We had an older speaker, for the life of me I can't remember his name, but I just remember him being older, and he was just speaking about giving 100% of your life to God. 98% didn't do 100%.
And I remember him so clearly saying God wants everything, and I began to just weep in the dining hall at Kenosee Lake Bible Camp.
And I remember sitting there saying, my sports are not going to be more important to me than Jesus, and I'm giving him total control of my life. I'll play sports, but if he ever wants to take them from me, I'm good with that.
And I remember that night, I tasted something that I hadn't ever tasted before. It felt like I'd moved from darkness to light. I remember lying in my cabin that night. I remember it so much on the stinking top bunk in cabin C, Kenosee Lake Bible Camp. And like, how crazy is it? I was 13 and all I could think of is my life is different now. It's really different. I remember that. I remember waking up the next morning and I just wanted to go to my counselor and say, it's like still here. Like it's still here.
I know for sure that that was a life-changing moment that I got to have there, and it really did. It set the course for the rest of my life in just a really, really powerful way. So thankful. I'll always be thankful for the dining hall, for that speaker, and for that moment that we had. It was great.
What would you say to those that served to help make camp possible for you when you attended?
Oh, well, one person I want to give a shout out to is Marilyn Velcott. She was my counselor for 1 year. I don't even remember exactly how old I was. I'm preteenish. She said to me, I see so much maturity in your faith, and I know God's going to take you great places. It was one sentence, and she probably doesn't even remember saying it. I don't know what made her say that, but I held on to that for everything, for the next quite a few years, and it built confidence in me that I could go back and be a junior cabin leader, be a senior cabin leader, and move on to ministry later in life. I think back to that moment a lot, that someone believed in me, and that was huge, just huge.
Let me just say this. The ministry of camp is so worth investing in, and you know that because you've invested in it. But think about this for a second. For 2 months, July and August, across our country, every single year, every single day in July and August, literally thousands and thousands and thousands of children both hear and experience the truth of Jesus Christ. That happens every single day, July and August, because of the ministry of camp. Can you imagine what the spiritual climate of our country would look like if God hadn't given that vision to someone, 100 years ago? Like whatever it is, and in camp, at Kenosee Lake Bible Camp in particular, think about the hundreds of kids that have been influenced every single day for those 2 months, that they have seen and experienced the truth of Jesus Christ. Just think for a second what a difference that's made in our country. Thank you so much for your vision and your sacrifice. It's worth it. It really has been worth it. Thank you. I love it.
I just love to tell them, just to let them know that God's just alive and working, and seeing God working in their lives, to just bring people to camp, and just amazing how many lives turned just because of God's Spirit working there, you know. And it's just crazy to think about, but that's just how awesome our God is, and it's just amazing.
Thank you, Kenosee Lake Bible Camp. Thank you, people who've made Kenosee Lake Bible Camp happen. Not only did you facilitate my relationship with Jesus Christ, which is the most important thing, you facilitated my relationship with others who have played significant roles in helping dream, vision, and implement a ministry that's affecting youth right across our country. Thank you, Kenosee Lake. I love that.
But this summer camp looked different. The challenges that we went through. But as we were working through that, we recognized and realized that our message was the same. Our message needed to be the same. We were called to share the gospel, to love on children, and to show them Jesus Christ, and to help them to begin that step of faith, and to help them to further that step of faith. There's as you look through Scripture, there's many occurrences where the biblical characters had. Okay. Can I use the same mic? Yeah. Okay. Oh, you hit a button? Awesome. All right, this is great. This is exactly, we knew that we were going to have some fun this evening, that doing this firsthand, and I'm just glad it was me, glad that it was me that got to be the fun mishap here. Listen, let me go back, because you didn't hear anything I just said. You just saw hand motions, which hopefully that took root in your life. I've listened to those videos a few times. And as we were preparing for our 60th anniversary this summer, we had the opportunity to be able to correspond with a number of other people through email, to hear their stories about how God had used Kenosee Lake Bible Camp to impact their life, to prepare them for a future calling, whether that was into the ministry that they're finding themselves in or into the businesses that they're finding themselves in. And it was so encouraging to hear those stories, those testimonies of God using this ministry, this camp ministry, to impact lives for Him. My own story is very similar, and I remember this moment clearly in my life. I was 19 years old, and I was in my second year at serving as program director at Kenosee Lake Bible Camp. And I remember there was this hill that leads up to the main dining hall, and as I was out the one day, tuck time was going on, and there's kids running everywhere. I remember pausing halfway up that hill, and I looked out over here, and over here there were kids running around with their counselors, because I'm old, and that's what we were called back then. And I looked over here, and under the shade tree there was kids sitting with their leaders, and they were sharing tuck, and they were sharing their lives with each other. And it was in that moment where God just quietly whispered into my ear and said, "Brad, I'm calling you into this life." Not that I didn't hear that call into camp ministry, but that call into ministry. I didn't know what that was going to look like, but I knew in that moment that my life was going to be different. That the camp wasn't just there for that time, that ministry wasn't just something that I was going to do in my teen years, but that I was called to give my life to this. Our vision at Kenosee Lake Bible Camp is to show God's love, to share God's truth, and to build God's family. And this summer, camp looked different. As Claire shared earlier this evening, there was moments where we didn't know if we could run camp, and then we could run camp, and we didn't know what that was going to look like. And there was this temptation to just pack it all in, forget the summer. Would anyone blame us? But God reminded us that our vision, that our calling wasn't to run camp, but our vision and our calling was to show God's love, to share God's truth, and to build God's family. And so we ran camp, and it looked different. But we knew that we needed to find a way to share the gospel. Because camp, for so many kids, serves as that escape, that moment in their life where they leave their homes and they, in our case, head off into the forest. There's many occurrences in Scripture where the biblical characters will do the same thing. Some of them are running away from God, running away from a past life, running away from something in their life, and they head off into the wilderness, and some of them are going out to find God. But the thing that remains true, that remains the case in each of those occurrences was that they never went alone. That God went with them, and in those quiet moments, God would find them. Moses headed off into the wilderness, and I'm sure as he was out tending those sheep and saw the burning bush, he didn't think that was God coming to meet him. He had no idea that God had something bigger planned for him. Something that he was calling him out of that life of shepherding those sheep and into something different. Something that he was going to be used for God to do. God went out into the wilderness to find him. And at camp, we seek to do the same, to put kids into those opportunities where they can hear that quiet whisper from the Lord, to hear that message from God that God wants to do something great with their lives, that God wants to use them. He wants to do something with them. And so that's what we call our summer missionaries to do, to speak the truth in love and to seek to build into their campers, to seek to show them God's love. And as they do that, as they sit and as they share life with them, to speak the truth out of God's word into their life, to introduce them to the God that wants to spend life with them. And then, as they make those decisions to walk with them and to disciple them, to show them how they can use their lives to be a blessing to others. We couldn't do any of that without you. And you, our supporters, you, those that come alongside with us. The whole structure of camp is built with this idea of not doing it alone. It's not Clay and I, it's not Clay, Allison and I, it's not the three of us in our summer team that does this ministry. It is all of us that do it. And we couldn't do it if it weren't for our donors giving to us. We couldn't do it if it weren't for our volunteers. We couldn't do it if it weren't for those that were meeting and sitting on their knees in prayer for us as we go out into this world and try to make a difference for God. We need the churches. We need to be doing our ministry alongside our churches. That's why our goal is, as kids come into camp, we want to find ways to connect them back into their local community so that camp isn't just something that happens for the week, but it's something that happens for life. That the God that they meet at camp is the God that's there in their hometowns, and as they get connected back with believers in their own hometown, that they continue to grow. And as they go back, they know that I can go back and I can serve. We want to do this ministry with other people. And we couldn't without you. And so we want to say thank you. We want to say thank you to the local businesses that support us, to our donors that support us. We're so grateful for you. We want to say thank you to the Community Initiatives Fund. 6 years, this grant has been offering funding for us to be able to enhance our programming. What a great thing. And we're just so thankful for these many gifts that God's given to us, the ways in which He provides for this ministry as we seek to do His work through camp. And that work of making camp better, we want to continue that. And many of you have heard of our dining hall project, where we're looking to put a pretty significant expansion onto our dining hall, and we're pretty excited about it. I've got a picture here of what we're envisioning it's going to look like. And you know, the goal behind this isn't that we look at our dining hall and go, oh, we need to do some updates to it. We need to make it look prettier because yes, this building will be much prettier than what we currently have. But the purpose of this is to be able to prepare our ministry for the future, to enable us to continue to offer effective camp programming well into the next 60 years. And while yes, it'll enhance the building itself, at the same time, it's going to be able to enhance the ministry that we're able to offer. We're pretty excited about this. The last renovation that took place to this building was in 1987. That was the year I was born. And to put that into perspective, the staff at camp are always quick to remind us that because I'm in my 30s, that makes me old. And so that's why Allison and I tend to try to spend more time with the volunteers, because they like to remind us about how young we are. But 30 years on a building and not seeing any major renovations, the building's getting tired. And the exciting thing is that back in 1987, the reason the building was expanded was because they had outgrown it. You know, camp had grown to the point where not everybody fit into it. And 30 years later, we're again experiencing that same problem. You know, if you spend time volunteering with us, there's moments where, we as support staff go out to the back deck to enjoy our meals there, but when inclement weather hits, you can all of a sudden find yourself, the dining hall is packed full, there's no room there, and you can find yourself enjoying lunch on top of a dryer, which is about as comfortable as it sounds there. And so this building's needing to be expanded because our ministry's expanding. And we're excited about that. That's a good thing. And so we look forward to this. We look forward to the way expanding this. Oh, there's a shot of the rear view there. And as you can see, to give you an idea of the expansion here, the red outline is what our current building is sitting at. And the everything extended onto there will be new kitchens, new bathroom, new office, new storage areas, new walk-in freezer, fridge units, which that's another one of the more tired areas as the floor begins to give way from underneath there. We'd love for you to be able to join with us with this project. The estimated cost of this project is $1 million, and that number seems huge. But here's the exciting thing, is that as we've made preparations for this project, people have began giving to it. And the exciting thing is we took that $1 million and we went, whenever you have a big goal, you got to break it down into smaller goals. And our goal for 2020 was to reach $200,000. When COVID hit, it was like, are we going to be able to reach that? It threw everything into flux. And the exciting thing is we're only $25,000 away from reaching that goal of $200,000. We'd love for you to be able to donate to this project. And much like giving to camp this evening, those donations can be made through check, through e-transfer. And if you're like me and have a young family or finances, you'd like to give the big gift, but it's just not possible. And it's much easier if you're able to break that, much like we're doing with our goals here, to break that big gift down into smaller gifts. And so if you'd like to be able to give monthly, we're set up to be able to do that. Giving $10, $15, $20, $100 a month would go a long way for supporting this project. If you'd like to give, but you're not currently able to do so, on our website, We have a dining hall page that's set up there, and on that page, we've got pledge forms available. If you're going, I love to give to this project, but I'm not able to at this moment. But you'd like to give a pledge to this project. That goes a long way in allowing us to prepare for this project. The goal is to begin construction in the fall of 2022. And we're excited. We're on pace to reach that goal, and so we'd love for you to be able to partner with us, to join with us in this project, and to join with us in preparing camp for another 60 plus years of ministry. We're so thankful that you were able to join us this evening. We're so thankful that even through our little hiccups, that you were able to spend the evening with us. We hope that you were encouraged. We hope that you were blessed in the stories that were shared, the testimonies that were shared. We want to let you know a couple of things. First, we recognize that our Kahoot game did not work with our live stream. So what we're going to do is we're going to post the code on our Facebook page. We're going to do a challenge there, much like we did with the pre-course, pre-game challenge there. We're going to post the pin this evening for that. And at any time in the next 24 hours, you can go on. And if you remember what answers you got right on which questions, you're going to be one leg up. Or you might remember which shape was the wrong shape to answer there. If you want to make a donation, you can do so. Again, through e-transfer to KLBC office at kenosee.ca. You can mail a check to Box 217, Kenosee Lake, Saskatchewan. Or if you'd like to pay through credit card, you can do so at Kenosee Lake Bible Camp.ca/support us. We have a couple of thank yous to do. First, we want to say thank you to Brendan and Christy. Thank you for coming and joining us this evening. You guys have way better voices than Clay and I, although that may have been more entertaining to hear us sing. That's not going to happen. We want to say thank you to Matt. Matt Redstone's the pastor at onechurch.ca, and they're the ones that hosted us this evening. Matt's the one that fixed all of our mess-ups here, and so we want to say thank you to Matt. Thank you to One Church for putting this on, and we want to say Merry Christmas. We truly hope that the joy of Christ not only fills your hearts, but fills your homes this Christmas season. And that you're able to find time to be able to celebrate, whether that's with family through online platforms or when we're able to gather again, to be able to celebrate the birth of our Savior. In closing, we got one last song for you to enjoy as we head out. Merry Christmas, good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Brought you all my foolish crowns. With trembling hands I laid them down, expecting wrath to be poured out. But you placed mercy on my brow. Still my best is nothing less than filthy rags and emptiness. One drop of blood raised me from death, and you see me through your righteousness. Oh, how sweet, amazing grace wraps me in a warm embrace. Oh, my heart rejoice, I was lost, now found. All my praise goes up as your love comes down. Daily I walk safe, secure. Even through trouble you endure. I'm not afraid, for I am sure that you are mine and I am yours. Oh, how sweet, amazing grace wraps me in a warm embrace. Oh, my heart rejoice, I was lost. my praise goes up as your love comes down. All my praise goes up as your love comes down.
That's rap.